Hello, welcome to this video. Today I will show you step by step how to make a primitive arrow. I will be making an arrow with a bone arrowhead and a stone arrowhead. For the sake of the video, I will speed up some parts because it can be a bit tedious to see me sawing something or whatever. I will be using mostly primitive materials for the sake of that it's a precious material I'm using. I will also use some of modern technology, but I will show you and teach you how you can use the primitive materials to craft this. So let's start. So the materials I have here are these cedar arrow shafts. You could also use bamboo, reed or other sorts of wood, but I have these, so I figured I would use them. Next you need a glue stick. This is a pine pitch glue stick I made myself. I might make a video on this another time. Hey cat. I can show you later how you can make one of these. It's really nice and easy to make. Next you need a sharp object like to saw. This is a piece of flint. You could also use like this. I have a small file that I will be using. Of course you need some arrowheads. I have some here that I napped before, and I want to have them on an arrow. These also, and of course some bone arrowheads. These are also really nice and easy to make. You just take a piece of bone and you put it on a rock, and you can just move it and scratch it into the right shape, and you can make the notches with like a piece of flint, just sawing it in. But that's not what this video is about. So one last thing you need is of course feathers. I have some feathers here. You need some good strong feathers. These are turkey feathers. They're very durable when you put them on an arrow and you use it a lot. And these are painted turkey feathers. They're also really cool looking, I think. So the next thing I'll be doing, I will be making a notch in this end, and I will be also making a notch in this end. One side will be for the arrow to fit in, and the other will be where you put the arrow on the bowstring. So you can use this like a piece of flint if you want to do it the primitive way. You just start cutting. Start making your way into the arrow shaft. See, like that, it works fine. But for this video I will be using a little file to do it. Oh, I put a knock in it. It's a bit small still. I can make it a little bigger. But for now, give you an idea. It's about fine. For now it's good. So that's one side. Now we go to the other side. And depending on the thickness of the point you're putting on, you should make the same notch, and it should go about this far in, so you can wrap nicely around the notches of the arrowhead. So I'll be making this cut as well. We'll do it the same way. Starting on one side and move over to the other side. And work towards each other. So you get it nicely in the middle. Switch sides every now and then, because if you're putting pressure like that to that side. So if you keep just doing it one direction, you will get like a crooked notch in it. So after sawing for a while, I hope you can see it, the notch should be deep enough now, so you can fit it nicely. Just like that, should fall in it real nice. So the next step will be hafting the point. So the next thing we are going to do is sand down these points to where they are comfortably close to the point. So if you shoot this arrow, and this arrow will enter something like an animal, the points, the sides, the notches, if they are sticking out, they will catch. So the arrow will lose its momentum. So that's why we will sand them down, so they go nicely aerodynamically with the point. So I will use some sandpaper for this. You can also use like a rock to put the arrow shaft over it, but for this I will use some sandpaper. Just work down these edges. Just like that. You see the difference? So I will also do the other side. Just like that. So if you would shoot it like this, the arrow would enter easily, because the transition is not that rough. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to haft the point to this with some pine pitch. For that purpose I have like a little wax candle. And the cool thing with this pine pitch is that if you heat it up, it becomes soft and pliable. So what we're going to do, we put this pine pitch over this fire, and then we smear some over the point. As you see, it becomes wet and soft. So next thing we will do is we grab some with the point, just like that, maybe a little more. Put some on here. Put some on there. Heat it up again. And also heat up the point a little bit. So then we'll slide the point in the pine pitch. Wiggle it in. Then if you wet your finger, it's a bit nasty, but you can move the pine pitch without it sticking to your finger. So we're going to need a little more. Put it in there. Real nice. Just like that. Scoop it in there. Okay, so wet the finger a little. It's already getting a little hard because it's cold outside. So it's tightly secured in there. What you want to do is spin the arrow around. See if it spins nicely. If it doesn't, adjust the arrow a little bit. It's a bit crooked. That looks good actually. So the next step will be to take some of this deer sinew, pull off a little strand, just like that. It's a bit big, but okay, you can separate it. It's like little pieces of string. And the nice thing about it is when you make it wet, it's pliable, but when it dries, it gets really strong and hard. So what you do, you put it in your mouth. You just start chewing on it, and you break the fibers, and it gets nicely loose and pliable. So I will save you the image of me pulling it out of my mouth. So this is what the sinew looks like after you've chewed on it. It's like a little wet string. So what you're gonna do next? First, you wrap around the bottom 2-3 times. Then you go over the notch, go down, go around again, go over the notch again, go back down, turn around one more time, go over the notch again, go down, go over this side, go down, and then go around. The nice thing with the sinew is, if you just leave it like this, it will dry and it will get really tough. So I'm gonna put another bit of sinew over it. So here I have another piece of sinew. We will wrap around, secure itself, go over here one more time, go around, go over that side one more time, go down, and just finish it by working your way down. So it's secured tightly, just like that. And your arrow point is hafted. So for the next part, we are going to make the fletchings on the end of the arrow. Very importantly, of course. For this we have some feathers. I have these painted turkey feathers. Also have some turkey feathers that I have already cut before, which I will be using, but I will show you how you can make a fletching with a new feather. So what you can do, you can take a piece of flint in the middle of this arrow feather, I'm sorry. You see this ridge in here? You can cut this just like this with the flint. But because it's a precious resource, like I already said, I'll be cutting it with a knife, because if I waste it, it would be a shame for this beautiful feather. pretty soft material. You can slide right through it. Just like that. So now what you can do, see, you can pull it in half. Just like that. So now you have this part. After you cut the feather in half, what you do is you choose which piece of the feather you want to use, and you cut off the rest. So I will cut here, just like that. Break it off. It's already starting to look like a fletching. The next thing to do is create a little ledge here by pulling off some of these feathers to where you can put the sinew over to attach it to the shaft. So what you do is you take the pieces of feather you want off and you just pull. You can pull it off just like that quite easily. I could take off a little bit more of this white piece so it's a little bit thinner and will fit nicely on the arrow. Just like that. For the top it's a little bit harder because it only pulls down like this. So it does work. The next thing to do, I will show you the primitive way. So take 2 pieces of wood. For this time I have a split in half piece of bamboo. You put the fletching in between, just like this. So you can clamp it. When you have it clamped nicely in between, you take your fire, you just go over the edge. So just like this, you can just burn it away. And if you clamp it tight enough, it won't burn anything that's between the sticks. Just like this. So you see, it's all burnt off now. Put your finger past it. And then, just like that, you got yourself a nice little fletching you can put on your arrow. The other way would be just to take scissors and just cut them in the shape that you want. But that's not primitive. So in a survival situation, you would use the sticks and a campfire, of course. After you've cut your fletchings, I have cut mine, these 3. What you should look out for is that they are about the same length, and they need them both on the top side and the bottom side. They need to have just a little ledge like this. Can you see it? I'm trying to get it sharp. Yes, that's better. Like that, because you wrap the sinew around that. And the same goes for the bottom. So what you need next is some more deer sinew, or whatever other animal hide sinew you have. You take a strand of, you could use this glue stick again, but because for the sake of the arrow and how long it will last, I will use some wood glue. Take the sinew, start chewing it again. And in the meantime, if you look at this arrow, you can see that it has nice, like a little helical twist. So what you need to make sure of is that you have 3 feathers from the same side wing. So that means that they will all have the same twist in it. So when you attach it to the bow, they all turn in the same direction, and because of the helical twist, the bow starts spinning and it gets more speed. So I've tuned my sinew. It's flexible again. So you take the point of the arrow, start by wrapping the sinew around. Don't start directly at the top, but a little below it, because you need to have some space to hold the arrow. So just like this. Take your first fletching, put it there. Make sure it's straight on it, and go around. So you repeat this process with the next fletching. This is a bit tricky, but after doing it a few times you'll get the hang of it. So I'll go around 2 times so it's secured, then put on the last one, so like this. It's actually a bit hard to get them perfectly where you want them. You wrap the sinew around to set them stuck in place. So now, if you look on your arrow, it should be like more or less evenly divided. I'm going to move this one just a little bit. As you can see, yes. So, first part is done. So you see the helical twist that's in it, which will make the arrow actually fly. So I will take another piece of sinew, put this around the top to reinforce it. So I have some more sinew chewed up. I'm going to wrap it around the top here. Wrap it around, spread it out, make sure everything is attached nicely, and then wind it straight to the top, just like this. Think you're high enough, go back a bit. Maybe it's a tad much, but at least it's not gonna move anywhere. And that's what we want. So you see, just like this. This is not moving anywhere. So I'm going to take another piece of sinew, like that. Chew it again. This process involves a lot of chewing. Oh, dropped my wood glue. So for this next part, I'm going to use wood glue, because you can use pine pitch, but the thing with pine pitch is, if you would keep the arrow outside in the sun, and I'm going to put this on here to attach the fletching to the arrow, the pine pitch would get loose if you leave it in the sun, so it would, the fletching would get loose. So just to preserve my arrow, and because we have a lot of nice glues, I will just use some wood glue.
putting it on here. Just like that. And on the next. In the meantime, I'm still chewing on the sinew. It's just like chewing gum actually. So, like that. So what we are gonna do is we're gonna start here. We will go around 2-3 times with the sinew, and then put your finger down, press it down, let the sinew go over it, go around 1 time, take the next one, pull it down with the sinew, go around. Oh, I see it's a bit crooked here. Need to move this a little bit. That one too, just like that. Move it. And you grab the last one. It's a bit shorter, it seems, but it's okay, we'll be fine. Turn it so all the pieces of the feather are stuck, and then just roll it down until you run out of sinew, just like that. So, fletching secure, part 1. If you want to rearrange them a little bit, this is the time, because the sinew is still pliable, so you can move it a bit. So now I just took some artificial sinew, and what I'm gonna do with that is secure the fletchings in place so the wood glue can dry. So first go around itself, let it go around itself a few times, then you start going up. Just snag the fletching just like that, open the feather, yes, there we go. Just wind it up, and as you can see, it's pulling the fletching against the arrow. I love this part, it's fun to do. So last one, just like that, roll it up to the top, twist it a few times so it's stuck on there. Make sure your fletching is not stuck. So as you can see, pulled everything tightly to the wood. So we'll let this sit for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then we will unwind the rope and the arrow will be done. So after some time, just letting it sit, I will take off the rope. So what you do, you just spin it. Just like this. You can still see some glue, but after a little while, when it's fully dried, you won't see it anymore. Just roll it down, and that's it. Rearrange the feathers a little bit, and just like that, you've made a primitive arrow. So there it is, the finished arrow.
Nice sharp point. It's nicely secured. The fletching looks good. It's ready to shoot. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Maybe you've learned something from it. I hope so. That was my intention. Sorry for my English. I'm not a native English speaker, but I hope it was understandable and clear enough. Thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, please like and subscribe to help me out. That would be amazing. Thank you, and enjoy being outside.